Okay. Okay, perfect. Oh, there. Okay, Miss Walker just said she saw it too. Okay. So I have one person that's requesting to join in, so I'm gonna go ahead and press live. Yes. So let's see. Okay, so it's connecting. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, we are happy to have you here at KTSU2 News. Right now, the time is 2:58, so I guess we should just go ahead and start.
Yeah.
As you guys know, welcome to KTSU2 News. We have the honor of doing a special interview with one of the community organizers himself, Andrew Rodriguez, who put together the Vanessa Guillen protests. And if you guys don't know the story, Houston was in shock of the missing Fort Hood soldier Vanessa Guillen in April. And recently, as of 2 weeks ago, they have found the remains as well and taken into custody those that were involved. But still, the fight for justice is not over. And there are community organizers like Mr. Rodriguez himself who put together protests in order to have the voiceless be heard. So we are happy to have you on the show. How are you doing
Honored to be
today?
on. I'm doing good. It's hot today,
I bet. Are
but
you outside? It looks like
I'm
you were
outside.
outside.
I'm outside in the shade though. I got this nice, beautiful tree behind me, so it gives me a little bit of shade.
That's good. That's good. So let's go back to that historic day on July 4th. You guys walked, as everybody knows, from Discovery Green to the Houston City Hall. What was the significance of doing it on such a monumental day like July 4th? And what does that day now mean to you?
So, when this situation first came about, there was a lot of outrage within our community because she is from Houston. She's an H-Town girl. She's an Iowa girl. So, me and about 10 other organizers that I asked for volunteer help just didn't feel right celebrating independence when something like this happened. There was just so many unanswered answers that went by. We just didn't, I guess, feel proper honoring independence that day. So we decided to go ahead and march for Vanessa. And,
Wow.
we chose July 4th. It's just very patriotic day. And, Vanessa was in our military and she is a hero to the whole world. And we just wanted to pay homage to that.
And Mr. Rodriguez, for you being there on that exact day, how did it feel knowing that other people had the exact same emotions and feelings that you did? How did it feel marching for something as important as that?
So there was a lot of mixed emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So me myself, I've never done anything in that mass, in that type of capacity. So literally, it started with one Facebook post, and I've been following the story since it happened. I'm a military brat. I have military roots. So it was something really, that hit home to me. And when I made a post and I just said, hey, we should probably march on the 4th of July for Vanessa. I just got an amount of love, and it was crazy. So that post just literally caught on fire, and we organized it. Um, when we got there, we had a crowd. It wasn't big yet, but I'm talking about when we started, man. It was just a beautiful uh, amount of love shown by the community. It didn't matter if you were white, black, Hispanic. It was an amazing feeling. And then, we did stress because we did have obviously people who critiqued, hey, why would you do this during COVID-19? And I was honestly just taken away by the amount of beautiful outcome and how everybody, I did not see anybody take off their mask not one time. So for everybody to sit there and make sure that they wore their mask so we didn't dilute the message of Vanessa, it was beautiful.
I love to hear that. And how did you yourself, I know you said that this all started from a Facebook post. So how did you yourself actually get involved? How did you find those other community organizers? How did you guys actually come up with, something like the cruises and the actual 4th of July march? How did you guys come up with those things?
So before we even go into any of that, this was, I organized the march on 4th of July, but we just had a visual the other day by Belon and a bunch of the biker crews over there. think it was Colorado's biker club over there by the memorial. And, you know, this is not a one person thing. This march for Vanessa's Voice takes the whole city. And, you know, I'm proud to have been a portion of that because all of Houston showed up for Vanessa. Literally, you know, like I said, I have a decent platform on social media where, you know, I sometimes voice my opinion, and a lot of people, I guess, in this particular situation felt the same way. So literally when I posted, hey, you know, I need like 10 volunteers to organize something, I'm proud to say that Houston, you know, answered the call, and they came out in numbers, in immense numbers. I just wasn't expecting what we saw. From there, you know, we grew from a march. Some people had a cruise, and it was just an immense amount of ideas that people just threw out there, and that worked. Um, I just really can't come into words, you know, how everything kind of played together and came together. So, you know, I can just give credit to everybody in Houston because it was a citywide effort, and this is where we're at. You know, we've since that march, you know, we've kind of sparked marches all across Texas. You know, we started an organization called No Mas, and we had No Mas events in Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. We actually have one coming up this weekend, and it's just taken off.
How powerful. I love that. And what is your main message that you guys want people to get from these efforts, these community efforts? What is your main message?
So the message, obviously, we got to stick with the message at hand, which is obviously justice for Vanessa and the Guillen family, right? That is our main priority at this moment. It's the topic at hand, along with her and other voices that haven't been heard, like Gregory Morales, you know, whose remains were also found in a similar area. It's kind of unfortunate they didn't find him until they started looking for Vanessa. So it just makes you question a lot of things that's going on. But you know, the effort right now is to make sure that the family gets answers. Since this March, you know, we've had about, I want to say, like 89 congressional Congress members petition for an investigation, which is awesome. I know the family is going to meet with Donald Trump on the 29th, which is, again, another milestone in this battle. So, you know, the message is for Vanessa to make sure the family gets justice. You can see how heartbroken they are in all their interviews, and I couldn't even imagine. But, you know, we also are here for anybody and everybody of all race and colors. Injustice is something that we, you know, No Mas is not going to tolerate. And I'm just glad and honored that Texas and Houston are behind the No Mas organization. And, you know, we're just going to be here for the people.
And you did mention how the Guillen family is meeting with President Trump. So
Yes,
how do they know about your efforts? Have you talked to them?
yeah, so they've been present at multiple, you know, the sisters were there present on July 4th, and we spoke for a few, and, you know, we relayed the message that they're not alone in this fight. Um, like I said, me and a bunch of other chapters of No Mas have traveled with the family to Fort Hood, to visualize Vanessa in front of the base, to chant in
How
front
was
of the base.
that? Just seems like it would be such a heavy moment.
It's very eerie, if that makes sense. So me and the co-founder of No Mas, Janice Gonzalez out of San Antonio, she's the president of San Antonio chapter, you know, we went up there, and it's a very eerie feeling when you get there because we were on the corner of the base, right? And the base, the sign says it's like a great place or something like that. And just hearing what's happened, not only with Vanessa, but other people, it's anything but. It's a very eerie feeling to know that that's where this tragedy happened, and we're literally across the street. But it's also a beautiful thing because there's so many people that believe in getting justice for Vanessa that they don't care if Fort Hood was 3 hours away or 6 hours away. You know, we had people from all over the state and country come. So it's kind of a bittersweet feeling when you're there because you know that's where it happened, but you know justice is coming.
Exactly. And you mentioned yourself, you actually were part of the military, you have a military background.
Yeah.
So, what, in your opinion, is the message that you have for the military?
So I'm a military brat, right? So my dad was a drill sergeant. He did his 25 years in, and my mom was in it, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody, right? The message needs to be that there needs to be some type of accountability, right? This
Mm-hmm.
can't be any more of the good old boys club, or
Mm-hmm.
there can't be any cover-ups. There has to be, in order for change to happen, things need to get brought to light, and people who are there need to be held accountable. Whether it's really looks bad on their behalf, it just needs to be transparent for the family and for future generations of females and Latinos that want to go into the military. If we don't have that, then there's really just no cause.
And in terms of policies, what do you feel like needs to change in the military?
So this situation has been very bittersweet for me, right? So I'm proud of my military roots because, being in the American military is an honor. It's a tremendous honor. And it's unfortunate that we have had some leadership, especially at Fort Hood, um, not take as much pride in that and, take care of their own. So first things first is we need, obviously, a third party, um, bipartisan type of committee that handles sexual assault allegations, right? We can't have, just for transparency, we can't have the military oversee that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we come into a problem of conflict of interest, if that makes sense, right? So, if you have a higher up who's friends with such and such, and I'm not saying this would happen, but there's always a possibility. The investigation may not be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you run into that good old boys club, right? There has to be a third party internal uh, body that does handle sexual abuse allegations and just any type of allegations for that matter, period. Another policy that I know me and a bunch of other No Mas members would love to see is there has to be some type of ratio where you can't have 3 or 4 women to a unit and the rest is men. I believe strongly that that automatically makes you a target in a organization as large as the military, where it's mostly men, right? So there has to be some type of in between where there has to be a policy of, hey, if there's this amount of men in the unit, then there has to be X amount of women to kind of offset that. Like I said, I strongly believe if there's 2 or 3 women in a unit, you're automatically going to have the target painted on your back, and that could have very well maybe been what happened. So we need some things like that passed and changed immediately.
And speaking of changing policies, at the rally, Sheila Jackson Lee was also there in attendance as well. What message did she have for the Houstonians and for those looking for answers for Vanessa?
So I want to first say thank you to all the politicians that came out. It was crazy. It was an honor to stand next to her, just because she believes in the same core values that we have right now. And, her promise to, and this was before, the petition got signed for a congressional investigation, but, she promised the Guillen family and all of Houston that they were going to be transparent and that they were going to call for a congressional investigation. And not even a few days later, you see 89 members of Congress calling for that. So, she shared her voice and shared that she is appalled at the situation. The Guillen family does need justice, but she was very transparent with what she said, and she delivered so far. So nothing but respect for Miss Sheila Jackson Lee, an amazing woman. And again, I applaud every politician, local, state, and national politician that was there. It says a lot, especially now in the days where the Latino community, I feel, has been very, I wouldn't say scared, but they really haven't had a voice to go out and vote, to go out and stand up for themselves. And I feel like this situation has woken such a huge giant within our community. So, I encourage everybody to go out there and vote for your local politicians, because your voice does matter. And you can see situations like this. They heard Houston and they had to deliver.
And that's one thing that I have to say that has been very powerful to witness. Seeing Houston, like you said, work together and actually get stuff done. That to me is just powerful in itself, like you said.
Yes, ma'am.
According to Protect Our Defenders, which is another organization that works with protecting women against sexual assault in the military, in just in 2016 alone, over 14,000 military personnel reported sexual assault. Now, out of that number, more than 8,000 were of women. Based on these facts, in your opinion, what should you think should be done to protect women in the military? If we're not just talking about policies, what about procedures, in your opinion?
So first off, those numbers are super alarming, right? I can't
Very.
even fathom that number. That is such a, I mean, if you think about it, that's probably almost all of the women that are in the military that come
And I
through
didn't
some
even
type of,
mention the 10% increase.
yes. And again, that's just being reported. So I can only imagine the ones that aren't getting reported due to fear of retaliation or, further sexual assault. It's mind boggling, but, the procedures really need to do, there has to be, I feel like these sexual assault situations need to be spoken to on a women's level, right? So if a woman makes a sexual allegation, that should go to a woman, right? There's just things that us men don't understand on a woman's side, in a woman's point of view.
Mhm.
And if same thing with the male, if a male is reporting sexual allegations in the military, they should have a liaison male and a liaison female that handles that stuff. Just because there's just things that we don't understand about both um, sexes that should be, privately handled with that sex. It's more comfortable dealing it that way. Um, the biggest part is getting an entity built outside the military organization that will handle these cases. There has to be a follow-up. There has to be an intense investigation. I can't imagine out of these numbers how many of them just look at it, overview it, and just, all right, didn't happen. Um, that needs to be done. So first things first is we need to get an organization built that's not military, that's codependent, and get a system in place, because I can only imagine the numbers are going to grow after this year, and that's just unacceptable. I've in all my speeches I've said that an army base for any armed force member, male or female, should be the safest place you should be at, especially if that military base is here in our own country. So first things first is we need to get an organization in there that handles these type of investigations.
So I feel like I have asked a lot of questions so far, and I'm loving the conversation that we're having. So, for you, for someone who wants to be inspired or they are already inspired by the things that they have already seen you do, what would be your advice to them? Anyone who wants to actually get involved, who wants to start their own protest, what would be your advice to them?
First things first, have your own voice, right? Um, America is built on having your own voice. It's a beautiful right to have, right? Don't be scared. Don't be scared to be someone to post a Facebook message or a status and ask for help, or ask, hey, who wants to start a march? Because that's how this all started. 9 times out of 10, if you're feeling that way, there's somebody else who also feels that way. Don't be scared. Speak up. Be a leader. I am honored and blessed that when I asked on my Facebook, so much of Houston um, opted for me to be a leader in this fight, and I cannot tell you how overwhelmed and blessed I am for that. I did not again imagine this to be as big as it was going to be, um, but I can only say speak up, do what you believe in. Don't let anybody knock your hustle. Don't let anybody knock your views. You're always going to have critics, whether you do something or you don't. If it's something you're passionate about, go ahead and do it. There's plenty of ways for you to help Vanessa Guillen and her family and the cause. Us ourselves at No Mas, we have chapters all throughout Texas now since this started, and we're always looking for volunteers and help, which is how that event became such a beautiful thing, and as tremendous as it was. We didn't do it with just within us. We had the community volunteering food. We had Yum Eats, which is a Black Lives Matter affiliate, cater the food there that day. We had people throughout the community bringing waters. It was really a joint effort. So just do it. Don't think twice about it. If the cause is really fruitful, you won't have no problem with getting support from your community and the leaders, as you saw. So just go ahead and do it. You could visit us. You can hit us up if you want to volunteer and help and make an impact. There's other organizations as well. You know, we did partner with Fiel de Houston, who helped us out in that event. Just get involved with your community because I feel like it matters now more than ever.
So where can people, if they want to get involved, and this will also be our ending question for today, how and where can they get those resources? Because I know myself included would love to be involved in the next initiative that you guys do.
Yes, ma'am.
So where can
Like I
they
said,
follow you guys, donate?
like I said, this weekend we were gonna have a march in San Antonio, one of the co-founding cities that founded No Mas. Um, you can hit us up at No Mas Movement on Facebook. If you're here in Houston, you can follow our chapter here at No Mas-Houston. It'll send you directly to myself. And you know, if you want to volunteer, or if you have some things that you can donate, there's things for that. Um, those are just one of a handful of ways that you can volunteer. I know Fiel de Houston is also always looking for volunteers. So any one of those things. So if you if you hit up Facebook and you look at you type No Mas Movement, you'll hit the main organizational page. But then, like I said, there's respective chapters in your local cities that you can also contact. And we're always up for volunteers. Like I said, this fight is bigger than myself, bigger than yourself, bigger than any one person. So we're always in need of help.
And with that, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Rodriguez, for your continuous efforts and for organizing something as historic as what we have witnessed so far. Thank you so much for allowing us to have this time to even have this conversation with you in this
No,
dialogue.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys, letting me use your platform to educate and inform. Um, it's very important that we all stick together and we utilize each other to get the message across. Like I said, it doesn't matter if she was a Latina, white, black. This is an American issue that we all face. And ignorance is a huge thing here in this country, and we need to educate and fix in order for change to happen. So again, I appreciate your platform
And we
and
hope
letting
that you
me.
can still come back on again and use
Yes, ma'am.
our platform.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
hopefully this won't be the last time we hear
No,
from
ma'am.
you.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I will
Okay.
make sure I share some events on Saturday with you guys, and you guys can share it and do what you'd like. But I appreciate you. Thank you for everything, and God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
And guys, my name is Maya Turner. We are logging off with KTSU2 News. Have a good one. And just to let everybody else know, with our KTSU2 brand or KTSU2 News, we will be hosting Wednesday discussions every Wednesday. Just to let you guys know. So definitely come on in, tune back in with us every Wednesday at noon. So we hope to see you guys again then that time. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Maya Turner, again with KTSU2 News, signing off.